start with some mindful breathing. And I am going to put something underneath my back. This is a little pillow designed for this purpose. But you could also use a rolled up blanket or 2 yoga blocks, or you could just lay down on your back, because all of it is going to give us the resistance that we're looking for to create some breath movement. All right, now, generally speaking, if you have something under your back that's kind of firm, like a block, you want it to be high enough that the shoulder blades are able to rest on whatever that object is. Something like a pillow's a little, or a blanket, a little more forgiving. That could come down your back a little bit more. If you're using a yoga block, put it quite high up your back so that your shoulder blades rest on the block, but not much else, so it doesn't poke you in the spine. And then we're going to try to let these muscles that are responsible for kind of helping us take deep breaths, the kind of secondary muscles like the pectoralis minor and these intercostal muscles between the ribs, we're going to try to let those have some time to expand. Now, if I want to really get to my pec minor, I don't take my arm out too wide, because that tends to kind of fire up pec major, and then I don't get as close. But if I take my arms a little bit closer to me, and then really let the head of my arm bone drop back, that gets a little more to pec minor, and it's not a big sensation, because it's a little muscle and it's mostly for stabilizing. It doesn't have as many nerve endings that go to it as the muscles that get closer to the surface. But it has an impact. So just bringing the arms in a little closer and letting my arm bones get really heavy in the socket opens up some of the space that may have closed down while I was sleeping. Or just if you have a job where you lean over a desk for a large portion of your day, that brings the head of the arm bone forward in the shoulder, and we lose, because the body likes to be efficient, it will tighten up these secondary breathing muscles and cause us to lose a little bit of that ability to really get it all the way in, take those really deep breaths. So that's what we're concentrating on right now. And every now and then I try to really get my ribs to expand. Like, how big can I make my rib cage? And that's not as easy to breathe as letting the belly expand down below. So we're alternate a little bit. Do a few diaphragmatic breaths, just to let breath flow in. And then some breaths that force a little bit more movement in the chest and the ribs. Take 2 more big breaths. I'm going to do one of each. I'm going to do one up into my ribs. And then I'm going to do one that lets me breathe way down deep. And then I'm going to take this pillow out from underneath me, so I'm going to roll to the side, slide that guy out, and now that that's out of there, I don't know if I'll just create a trouble for myself, but we'll just come back onto my back. And give myself a little bit of a moment to notice the difference. Now, usually what happens for me is it feels like my shoulder kind of slides down a little bit, like my back broadens out. And that's a nice sensation. I like to give a little bit of a massage to the area where the the object was, whatever it is. Just a little kind of rock back and forth on that upper back, just to release any trickiness that might have been with that tissue. And then I'm going to take my feet out kind of wide, so they're about as wide as the mat, and just do this little windshield wiper move. Drop one leg inside the other. We're going to turn this into a bigger movement in a moment. But this just gives me a little bit of movement in the hip socket, so releasing any tension that might be there. All right, so then we're going to float the legs up, and we want to start with the knees about over the top rim of the pelvis. If the knees are up here over the chest, then we're not going to get the same amount of core interaction. So we want the knees to be down so the low back has its neutral curve, so we have to use the abs to stabilize rather than the positioning of the body, okay? Now your arms are going to try to remain on the floor, shoulders on the floor, because we're going to take the legs over to the side. I don't know how much room you've got. If you're like me and your kind of space is a little tight, then just keep your knees bent, but curl the knees in towards your chest and armpit. Come back to the top of the pelvis level. Come all the way back to the center. You can go across if you like, and go ahead and do the other side, curling in and coming across, or right here in the middle, you can add a little lift of the pelvis, come back to that neutral position, okay? So we come back to neutral each time, and then down the center we get to work slightly different abs. So eventually, hopefully this will warm up everything in our center. Now, if you've got a little extra space, you could always extend your legs out to make this a little bit more challenging. I find it still effective at warming up the abdominals, even if you don't straighten the legs. It's just a little bit more work for stabilizers. Okay, so let's finish one more set of these. One of the things I find really fascinating about this movement is it makes me travel sometimes a whole foot down my mat. I'm going to take up that space. And then we're going to take a nice long stretch out of the left leg. So you can reach the left leg out, give it a little shake or a little shimmy. We're going to try to keep the leg rotated so that the toes point straight up. You're going to reach through the heel if you can, and try to engage every muscle in the leg. So don't hyperextend your knee, which is a danger here. So if you have a tendency, like I do, towards hyperextension, bend the knee slightly and just press the heel a little more deeply into the floor. We're going to try to keep this leg really active, okay? So that's going to be the way we're going to do this when we move. You can relax that for now. We're going to hold onto the right leg and give it a squeeze if you can. If you can't hold your right leg, don't worry about it. Just float it up in the air. It'll be all right. And then spin your foot in some circular shapes. We're actually trying to get the ankle joint moving. And then we're going to go the other direction. And I like to try to get like some that are kind of faster and some that are a little bigger, just to change it up a little. And then point and flex. Get your whole ankle joint moving. And also, if you can do it, get a little movement going in the other joints and bones in your foot. Pilates often starts with some footwork, so trying to release tension from the feet. All right, so we're going to extend this leg up and just see how far your hamstrings are willing to let you go, and then bend the knee and give the leg a little hug, and then extend the leg up, just gently see how far they're willing to let you go. Bend the knee, give it a little hug. We're going to hold this one a little bit longer, so be kind. We'll stretch this leg out, see how far it's willing to go. All right, so then we're going to let go of the leg. We're still up. Now I'm going to re-engage that left leg, so I'm hugging in through the sides of the waist. My left leg is really anchoring to the floor, and then I'm going to hug my arms in and anchor my upper back to the ground. So all this work is happening in my torso, and you know, some extremities as well. And then this right leg is going to create the resistance to try to hold that steady. So I'm going to bring it out in a big circle and come around, okay? So hug in and try not to let your torso move at all. So we want the body to stay perfectly stable while the leg is trying to drag it around with it. Okay, one more time like that. So then we'll do the same thing but the other direction. So we'll go out to the side, sweep the leg back to the center, and come up the middle. And again, try not to let that left hip, if you can, lift at all. Really stabilize. 2 more. So the work that we're actually doing is all this stabilizing work. Go ahead and bring your knee in, give it a little hug, and then we'll let go of that leg and give it a little rinse. All right, so if you stretch both legs out, does the right leg feel a little different than the left leg? It's kind of noticing the sensations coming from the body back up to your conscious mind. And then we're going to leave that right leg there. And again, when we get to it, we're going to engage this right leg so the toes point a little bit more up. There's a little bit of a sense of internal rotation. We're going to press nice and deep. We're not going to do that yet, but just a reminder. All right, so holding on to your left leg if you can. Spin your left foot in nice big circles. And this is one of the things about Pilates that's important, is that there's a kind of precision to it. And so we're really paying attention. Go the other direction. It's not meant to be a kind of fast movement necessarily. It doesn't have to be slow. It just needs to be mindful. So we're really paying attention, concentrating. So we'll kind of find all those little edges in your ankle joint. And then point and flex your foot. And again, see if you can find places that feel like there's tension or feel like there's stickiness. If you can get a little movement going. All of the bones and joints and muscles of your feet. All right, so now we're going to go for the hamstrings, and again, be kind. So we're going to see if we can straighten the leg. It might not want to go all the way straight. You already feel that stretch. Hug it in, and then extending up through that leg. I like to try to find that spot where it feels like, yep, that stretch. But not go past that spot just yet, okay? So now we're going to hold this a little bit longer. So you just find the spot where it feels like there's a stretch. So I'm going to let go, leave that leg up, and then I'm going to re-engage this right leg. So I've got this right leg really turned on. I'm pulling in the abs. Those are turned on. I'm taking the upper body and securing that to the floor so my shoulders are nice and active. And then you come across and swing your leg, and I've got plants and stuff, so I'm going to be a little bit cautious here. But it doesn't really matter how big a circle I make. What matters is that I'm working these stabilizers, right on? So it doesn't have to be a big circle. And if you've got a hip that kind of makes a poppy sound or feeling, you can make a smaller range of motion circle. When you come to the top, we're going to go out to the side, sweep them together, and come up. And again, whatever space you've got, work with that, but work these stabilizer muscles. That's the important part. All right, last one. And then you just bring that leg in, bring your other leg in, give everything a little bit of a little hug. Extend out through both legs. And then just see if there's a kind of sense that there's a little bit more of an equilibrium or a little more of a balance. We're going to give ourselves a nice big long stretch. All right, so we're going to bring the knees in. We're going to start with some single straight leg stretches. One leg will be straight, the other leg will be bent, and then we'll switch, okay? Now, the leg that's extending out, the issue here is the hip flexor. So we want to extend that out with enough core support that we're not doing anything to the hip flexor that's problematic, okay? Nice core support there. The core piece of this is going to be a little extra curl in. So, some of us drag ourselves into this with our neck. So one possibility is to keep your hands behind your head. Press your head into your hands and your hands into your head so that your neck remains in a stable place. Then you're forced to do this work with your abdominal muscles, okay? So you'll curl up. You won't be able to use your neck for that because your neck is positioned. Now, if you don't use your neck for that, if you've trained your abdominals enough, or you figured out how to release your neck enough that you're pretty good on your own, then you can reach past the leg and hold on to it while you're doing this little extra bit of curl, okay? So hands behind the head, curl in, curl in. So you're stretching out through the leg that's going away from you, because it's a single straight leg stretch, and then the little extra is this curl up, okay? Two more. Here's one, and two. All right, so bring it together. Now you can maintain that position where your hands are behind your head and you're pressing your head into your hands. If you weren't doing that, then you can come to that position, or you can keep your head on the ground and let your hands rest beside you, or even tuck the hands a little bit underneath the hips to create enough stability, okay? So we're gonna take the legs straight up. We're gonna draw in through the sides of the waist, press down into the, so we're kind of securing our hips, securing the back, and then if you're curled up, right, you're gonna secure your head into your hands. And if you're leaving your head on the ground, you're going to just secure the shoulder blades nice and firm. We'll lower the legs down for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold steady there. Dial it in. 3, 2, 1. Then come back. Okay? So that's the move. Whew, let's do it. Lower down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Stabilize. 3, 2, 1. Coming back. Lower. 3, 2, 1, stabilize, 3, 2, 1, come back. Okay, keep that low back nice and stable. Lower, 2, 3, and hold, 3, 2, 1, come back. Lower, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 3, 2, 1, come back. 2 more. Lower, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 3, 2, 1, come back. Last one. Lower, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 3, 2, 1, come on back. Ooh. Give yourself a moment to kind of rinse that out. Oh, I like those because they get really deep into the lower abdominals, but whew. All right, yogis, we got one more move. We're gonna do some work for our obliques one more time. And this one we're trying to dig in a little deeper. So we started with the kind of warm up twistiness to kind of get them warmer and get everything moving. With this, we're gonna try to get the obliques to work a little bit more, and then a little bit more. So we're gonna try to really dig in tight, get as much twist as we can using the obliques and not necessarily dragging our head around. So we're gonna come back to that straight leg stretch position, and we're gonna curl up 1, 2, 3 towards the midline, trying not to pull on the head. Everything comes back to the center, and then we're gonna extend 1, 2, 3 towards the midline and come back, okay? 1, 2, 3, back to the center. 1, 2, 3, back to the center. Twist 1, 2, 3, back to the center. Twist 1, 2, 3, back to the center. I'm still extending out through this leg strong. 3, 2, 1, back to the center. Push your head into your hands. 3, 2, 1, back to the center. We got 2 more sets. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Back to the center. Ooh, It's hard to talk to you guys and breathe at the same time. Give yourself a good release. Oh. All right, yogis. This is the moment where you decide, am I rolling like a ball, or am I just gonna flip myself upside down and wait that through? I like rolling like a ball. The first one can be kind of brutal. So we're gonna gather ourselves up. We're gonna come up. Oh. And essentially what we're gonna do is catch a little boat pose. Rock back, catch a little boat pose, okay? So you want your back to be as round as possible. And then you rock back, rock up. Pause in your little boat pose. Let's do it a few times. Get that out of my way. Well, hello there. Okay. Rock back, rock up, hold. Rock back, rock up, hold. Hold on. You go over that way. There we go. All right. Rock back, rock up, hold. Rock back, rock up, hold. Rock back, rock up, hold. One more. Rock back, rock up, hold. Now, we're going to pause for a moment and see if you can grab your big toes with your peace sign fingers. Now, if that doesn't work out, grab your calf muscles because we're going to hold on to this boat pose and extend one leg out and then come back to the center. Extend the other leg out. It might not go all the way straight. This way you can hold on lower and come back to the center. Keep your heart lifted. One leg extends and then back. Other leg extends and then back. Good. One leg and back. Other leg and back. Last round. One leg extends, lift your heart. Good. And then the other leg, lift and good. Whew. All right, yogis. Let's come to all fours. I like that bow pose. It might not be for everyone. Hopefully you liked it okay. So you can put your arms up on some blocks if you want to get your wrist out of this picture. We're going to move the back through a couple of different movements. So I'm going to start just up and down, but you can start any way you want. As you come to this shape that kind of feels like it belongs to the low back, see if you can move your upper back a little bit. Can you let the shoulder blades drift off your back? Flatten out that upper back area. It's not really going to go flat. We're just trying to move the muscle in that area. And then as you curl round, the upper back loves that shape. Can you curl the tailbone in and bring a little bit more of a roundness to the lower back? Just so we're moving the muscle in that area in both directions. Flexion and extension. Then we're going to come to a neutral spine. Get the head in neutral as well, so it's chin's not dropping, you're not looking up, just kind of level ears with shoulders. Then we're going to do a little sideways, so we're going to take the tailbone and the head to the left, push the ribs out to the right, and then swing it the other direction. Now I have a tendency to do this and rotate my head, so I'm going to try to hold my head, my chin level, so that I'm not rotating the neck. Because I want this side stretch on my neck as well. Tendency for me to rotate rather than side stretch, so I'm paying attention. I'm going to do it one more time on each side. Notice if one side of your neck is a little tighter than the other, if you can feel that with this move. Oh. All right, yogis. So we're going to do a little twist. Take the knees out a little on the wide side, pick one arm, go underneath you, and then holding steady there, you can press a little bit more into the twist. You can let your everything kind of relax and gravity kind of do this work, or you could wrap this arm up and over your back. Now, I like to pull my hips back a little bit and then press through my arm, giving myself just a little bit more pressure on the floor, and then I pull back through the shoulder that's on the ground. So I can get a little bit more feeling of release around those muscles. That's where I carry all my tension and stress. Last breath here. Okay, so your opposite hand's gonna stand strong. That was my right arm, so I'm gonna bring that out. The right arm's gonna go forward, my left leg's gonna go back, and then I'm gonna curl in and stretch out. You might be able to even touch elbow to knee, or kiss your knee. Just round as much as you can. One more time. And then stretch out. Let all of that come down. We're gonna do the opposite. Knees a little on the wide side. My left arm now is gonna go underneath whatever is your second side. And then you're finding your way into the twist that feels just right for you. Two more breaths here. And then we're going to release that arm. Oh. Okay, now my right hand becomes the standing, left arm goes up, right leg goes back. Nice long stretch between those 2 points. And then we curl it in and stretch it out. And curl it in and stretch it out. And curl it in and stretch it out nice and long. And then bring it down. And then we're here. Just feel how the body has changed, if it has. And then we're going to take ourselves into downward dog. I'm going to switch the sticky to the sticky side of my mat, and then I'll join you guys there. So once you get to your downward dog, take a moment to adjust your shoulders, move the legs up and down, and work with the hips and the legs. Now I like my hands about shoulder distance apart, so they're not too wide. And I do a little bit of movement on either end. Make sure your head and neck are nice and relaxed. Ooh. Now when you've had enough, you're going to walk your hands and feet together. You can give yourself a little hop to the top. Once you get to the top, where your weight's in your legs, just pause for a second, give your wrist a little rinse out. Some little swirly things. All right. And then spread out your fingers and squeeze them in, and spread them out, and squeeze them in, spread them out, and squeeze them in. Hopefully, we've given the wrist a little bit of extra warmth. Come up halfway, bend your knees a bit as you fold forward. See how far you can let yourself extend into that, or flex into that, as it were. And then inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. And again, you're just going to see how much of a forward bend feels good. And then we're going to come all the way up to standing. Give yourself a nice big stretch. And then, give everything a little bit of a rinse. All right, now, if you have a yoga mat, come all the way to the top of it. If you don't have a yoga mat, don't worry about it. Just stand where you're standing. Just make sure you got room behind you. And then we're going to find ourselves in a mountain pose. We're going to shift all the way into the right leg for a moment. So you just come up onto the left toes and try to find the sense that your hips are mostly steady and that you've got a nice tall spine without pushing the rib cage too far forward, okay? Then we're going to pick this left leg up and just see if you can hover that knee without causing everything to get lopsided. Take in a breath. And one more. Good, so we're going to step this leg back into a high lunge if we can, which is a little bit of a wobbly shape. Good. Now, take a moment and just see if you can kind of connect the pelvis and the ribs a little bit. Now, some of us will have more room to bend this back knee than others. But if you can bend the back knee a little bit and then straighten that leg out, do that. Be kind to your knee and your quads and straighten it out and bend it a little, or maybe a lot, and straighten it out. And one more time, bend it a little. Now we're going to fold forward, and this is where blocks might come in handy. So if you can't quite reach the floor, you're going to see if you can get both legs to go all the way straight and press the heel and the back toward the ground. It may not want to happen. Now there's a tendency for this front foot to roll off, and there'll be room under your big toe. That's the outer hamstrings. Can you bring your hips around a little more and press that big toe into the floor? You might need a slightly bent knee. All right, take in one more big breath. Good, so we're gonna bend this knee, we're gonna step back into down dog. Now, we're gonna lower all the way to the ground, but before we get there, if you'd like, you can do a little extra hover in your plank. So you can choose a plank and hold steady. You can choose a modified plank. Or if you don't wanna hold that plank, you can just lower straight down. And we'll pause for a moment here. Place the hands about level with your chest. Inhale and lift into cobra. Don't push with your arms. Use your back muscles, but do use the arms to help draw the elbows back and open the chest, okay? Come on back down, slide your hands back a little bit, and then come to cobra. And then come on back down. We're gonna do it one more time. Slide the hands back a little bit. Come into cobra. Good. Now, we're going to pick this right leg up. We're going to take it all the way up and over, plant it on the ground. You can keep onto your left elbow and then press down into this left leg to lift the hips into this little side plank, or you can come onto your hand and you can keep this leg extended or bend this knee and come onto the side plank so that you've got a little bit more structure there. Take a nice big breath, extend up and over. And then we're gonna come back to downward dog, bringing that right leg all the way up and over, both hands to the mat. Take your hips up. Hello. Take a moment, nice big breath. We're gonna take that right leg in the air. As you exhale, bring the knee in, curl up. Stretch back, knee in, curl up, stretch back, knee in, curl up, stretch the leg back, see if you can sink into your left heel a bit, and then we'll step the right foot forward, pause there, bring your left foot up to meet it, come up halfway, exhale, fold, and we're gonna come all the way to standing, give it a nice big stretch, and then find your mountain pose. And it's possible, it's already quite late, but notice the right side and the left side of your body. Is there a difference between the two? And so again, we're gonna shift the weight into this left leg now. We're gonna try to grow tall, draw in through the sides, connect the ribs to the hips a little bit, and then we're just gonna pick this right leg up and try to hover it. See if you can keep your hips level, keep all those connections. Good. Hold as steady as you can, last breath here. And then we're gonna try to step this back into a high lunge. If it doesn't go perfect, you're just gonna fix it. And again, we're gonna try to kind of connect the hips and the ribs. If you need to bend this back knee a lot, bend it a lot. You can also just bend it a little and straighten it out. Bend it a little. Make sure that the heel is all the way up. If it isn't, you're going to feel a tug in the knee that's not necessarily good for us. So just noticing those cues. One more time. We're going to bend this knee. Now we're going to hold steady and fold forward. And again, this is where blocks might come in handy if you've got them. So we're going to try to extend this front leg and press the heel towards the ground. And maybe they both go all the way straight and maybe they don't. Notice that tendency towards lightness in the big toe. Seeing if you can create a little bit of evenness in the hip. Bend your knee as much as you need to keep the hamstrings happy. And then for me, there's a lovely calf stretch down the back leg as well. step ourselves, bend your knee, step yourself back into downward dog. And then pause for a moment. And again, we're going to come all the way down to the belly, but if you'd like, you can spend a little bit of time with your plank, or even a modified plank, curling in, holding steady. When you're ready, you'll lower all the way to the ground. So we're going to start all the way back near the bottom of the rib cage with the hands. And the bottom of your palm may not touch the ground. So you're going to inhale, lift into that cobra, and now maybe the hands come down, and then hover the legs. So you've got a locust. Now, seeing if you can draw the elbows back to broaden open around the collarbones. Good. Take one more breath, reaching through the legs, lifting through the heart. And then we're going to come on down. We're going to take the left leg up and over. All right, so again, I can do this side plank from my elbow and lift, or I can do the side plank from my hand and lift, and maybe even include the knee, which is what I'm going to demonstrate today. Okay, so we're going to lift and then take the arm up and over. Nice big breath. Beautiful. And we're going to come back. Now we're going to stay on our side. So I'm going to extend my right arm out, and I'm going to rest my head on that right arm. And then making sure I've got a little bit of room here, I'm going to extend both legs up. Now, my job is to keep my torso from here to here completely stable. If I can't manage that, then I'm going to bring my legs slightly more forward. If it's pretty good, you can keep the legs in the center. If it's really good and you need a bigger challenge, you can try hovering both legs off the floor, because that'll make you work on two different planes, okay? So we're going to take this top leg and lift it straight up, flex at the foot to bring the leg down about hip height. Then we're going to swing the leg forward and back, lift it up, and then swing the leg behind you and bring it back. And again, we're trying not to let the ribs or the shoulders move at all. So leg goes up, forward, up, hug in through the waist now, back so that nothing moves. Up, forward, up, to the back. Good. Two more. Up, forward, up, to the back. Last one. Up, forward, up, backward. Now, we're going to come back and go up one more time. Bring the leg down, and about at the height of the hip, we're going to pause and rotate that leg inward, okay? So you're going to do as much as you can internal rotation. Bottom leg's going to need to stay on the ground for this one, so you have a little bit of room. We're going to tap forward. Maybe we tap the ground and then come to the back, and maybe you tap the ground, but try not to externally rotate the leg. Keep that internal rotation. So forward, back, forward, back. Try to hold steady here. Forward, back, forward, back. Good. Forward, back. Maintain that internal rotation. Forward, back. Last one. Forward, back. Good. Come back to the center. All right. So we're going to take this top leg, bring it over the top of the edge. We're going to take the bottom leg, extend it out. Now you can have your leg out straight, or even your knee resting on the floor, as long as it doesn't drag you around too much. Now, hips are level, shoulders are level. We're going to take this bottom leg up, try to create some length through your spine. So we've got a nice kind of feeling of connection all down this underside. So lift through the side of your waist, and then we're going to pulse that leg up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hovering that leg up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now making a circle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch directions. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bring that leg down. Now, we're gonna roll onto our back. For now, I'm gonna give myself a little bit of a twist and a stretch here. Oh, that feels good. All right, so then once we come onto our back, we're gonna keep working this right hip a bit. So, coming onto my back. I've got my left foot positioned and my right foot positioned so that I'm kind of in a bridge, right? Notice that there's a difference between the sensation in the right side and the sensation in the left side. So I want to make this this left leg do the work. So I'm going to take the right leg and put it up on top. Right on. Now, what I'm going to attempt to do is lift my hips up into bridge and then come down slow 5 times. If for any reason you have some neck trouble, you can do a much smaller lift. That's the first option. The second option is to actually put blankets under your shoulders so your neck or your head is a little bit lifted or lifted towards a little bit less on the floor. How's that? So that you don't get quite as much neck trickiness. We're not really trying to take the shoulder blades off the floor though, y'all, so we're not trying to cram ourselves into our neck. Just be mindful. So we're going to try to scoop up through the tailbone, lift the hips up, hold in nice and stable. I'm going to try to come down nice and smooth. So my shoulder blades never leave the floor, okay, so that I'm not putting that pressure in my neck, but if it feels like that to you, modify it. Okay, so we're going to scoop up, and then I'm going to come down slowly, as slow as I can. All right, still scooping up. Try to level my hips, and then come down slowly. I don't remember how many that was, but I'm going to say it was 3, and do 2 more. It's possible that I'm miscounted. Okay, sometimes I do a bonus round. And then one more time, scoop it up. Hold steady, see if you can keep that hip up even though one leg is heavy up on the top side. And then scoop it all the way down. And then we'll release that side, give everything a little bit of a rinse. Ooh. Now, we're going to do some boat pose. So you could put the teaser in here if you want to. Teaser is where you come from this kind of lying down position all the way up to a boat pose. Oh, my legs are long. Lift and hover in the boat, and then you go back down. Now, the issues for me with the teaser are that there's a spot at the bottom where I can mostly just take a nap if I want to. And then the second issue for me is that it's a lot of work for my low back because my legs are longer than my torso. So my preference is to come into the boat pose and then extend the legs and bring it back. And extend the legs and bring it back. Extend the legs, bring it back. Extend the legs, bring it back. Extend the legs, bring it back. And that feels like a pretty good amount. If you want to do more, you can do more. All right, we still have one side to go. I'm hoping I'm not too far off on our timing here, y'all. And if I am, please forgive me. If all y'all start disappearing, I'll know what happened. We're going to turn around and do our left side. Woo. Well, technically our right side. We're going to lay on our left side. All right. So head resting on the arm. I'm going to get my hips level. Make sure I've got a nice level position. I'm going to hug in through the sides of my waist. Hold steady as the leg goes up. About hip height, I'm going to swing forward. Take the leg up. And then I'm going to swing backward. And this is the one for me that's the easiest to lose control. So really hug in. Okay, up, forward, up, back, up, forward, up, back. Hug in there, y'all. We got 2 more. All right. Now we're going to go up, go behind ourselves, hug that in, and then when you come up, we're going to pause here, rotate that leg internally. So we're going to try to get that knee and toe to point as close as we can down, and then we're going to try to hold that steady as we tap over the top. I can't quite get all the way to the ground without the external rotation. So I keep the internal rotation because that targets the muscle I'm after, and do more forward and a little bit less backward. So keep that internal rotation if you can. 3 more. Try to hug in through your waist. 2. Last one. 3. Okay, so now feel. It's kind of great. And then that leg's gonna go out, and we're gonna engage everything on this bottom side. So I'm lifting through my side waist. I've got my leg lifted. I'm extending out nice and long. And then we're gonna take that and pulse it up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, don't give up yet, 1, and then circle it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, other direction. 5, 4, 3, keep that waist lifting. 1, and then put that leg down. We're going to roll onto our back, and again we're going to come to this bridge position. All right. This time my right leg is doing the work. So once I've got my foot in a position that feels reasonable, I'm going to put that left leg up. And again, I'm going to try to lift nice and careful. Be nice to your neck. So I'm going to lift my hips up. Try to hold the hips stable as I curl down. Okay? So 4 of those. Lifting. Keep the hips stable. Curl down. You don't have to get a big lift, really. I mean, if you do, that's great. But really, to engage the muscle is what we're after. And then to ask the abs to help do this work of lowering us down more softly, right? I've got 2 more as far as I can tell. Oh, again, I might be doing a bonus round. I'm okay with that. And then 1 more. Stabilize and curl down. And once you're all the way down, you can unwind. Woo. Give yourself a little back and forth. Now, yogis, as far as I can tell, it's time for Shavasana. At least I hope it's pretty close. So we're going to extend the legs out. Oh, give them a little jiggle in the hips. If it feels better to you to put a blanket or something under your legs, do that. And then snuggle the shoulder blades in a bit. Let the arms find their natural distance. And then you can let the back of the skull find a position that feels like it rests comfortably, and then let go. Try to relax every muscle in your body. So the point of Shavasana is consciously releasing all the tension from the muscles that we might carry habitual tension in. And to allow the body to feel safe. So if you don't feel safe, change your Shavasana. Make your pose a pose that you feel comfortable and safe and at home in. So that you can allow your body to relax completely. yogis, we're going to take just a moment to notice the breath. Don't move yet, just feel your breath flowing in and out. Now just by noticing the breath, often it shifts. But see if it can remain as natural as possible. Take a break. Oh, take a break. Take a breath so deep. Take a breath so deep you can feel it to your toes. Let it go with a big ah sigh. And then wiggle your fingers and toes. And stretch out your hands and feet. Oh, give the wrist and ankles a little movement. And then give everything a big long stretch. We're going to bring the knees in. Oh, give ourselves one more little back massage for the road because, oh, that feels good. And then, eventually, we've got to sit up. I figure probably we do. I mean, maybe we don't. And you'll just remain in that shape the whole time. So thank you for joining me, yogis, for a little yoga Pilates fusion. Let's take a nice big breath together. And a big deep sigh. Enjoy the rest of your day. Namaste.